Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Wow, we are almost at the end of December. What a tough year. It's not been easy. Challenged everybody in so many ways. And in reality, nothing good comes easy, does it? Even though we wish for that to be the case. We look at other people's lives and we wish we had what they had. Money, material wealth, intact families, healthy and fulfilling marriages, children and more so, happy, healthy children, fulfilling professions, self-confidence, feeling comfortable in our skin, a 5-star reputation. Until we reach a certain point within ourselves where we stop looking outward to see how we're doing in our lives, we seem to be measuring our lives against others and gauging our level of success in different parts of our lives. We all know that even though there are people who really do have their lives in good shape overall, we're only getting a glimpse of their life. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors in other people's lives, let alone the struggles that others are going through behind the scenes. People show us what they want us to see. We all do it. So, who do you need to become to have a life that not only feels good to you, but is actually true? What does it truly take to create the life of your dreams? What do you need to invest in on a regular basis to get that big return on that investment? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. How to get a massive ROI, return on investment, in every part of your life. And to know that that is really your truth. You may not realize this, but you are where you are in your life because you did a lot of things right. I don't know how many people have said that to you. And I remember when I was thinking about the content for today's podcast, I do write notes, and that came out. And I had to look at it. Because it's not only, when I speak these words, they're not only reminders for you, but they're reminders for me. So much of our time is caught up in looking at the shit that's not working and experiencing the tough times, the stress. Just like we don't always promote ourselves, we don't always brag on ourselves because somehow that's unacceptable. We don't always look at our lives and go, you know what? Yeah, I've been through some shit times, but I really have also done a lot right in my life. So I'm going to tell you, I believe this. I don't care what your situation is. I really don't care. I know that both you and I have done a lot right in our lives. Even if you look at your life and you feel like things should be better, could be better. You've done a lot right. You're exactly where you need to be in your life, whether you feel as though you're on the right path or your life sucks big time. I say this because I'm actually certain of it. That's what comes with older age, y'all. You didn't get where you are because you did everything wrong. No way. Nothing in our lives is wrong, actually, believe it or not. Hurting others, making poor decisions, missing opportunities are things that we as human beings are wired for. We are pre-programmed to go through this stuff before we incarnate. No one does this thing called life perfectly. Truly, really, nobody does. If we did, we wouldn't have to come back to this earthly plane to do this life school thing that we do over and over and over again. No one can look at their life and say they did everything wrong. That's beyond impossible. Because if you did everything wrong, you'd be staying in the same place. Period. There's always a balance in every part of life. It's the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. You can't have a life that's entirely one way. So, breathe, my friend. You've done a lot right, even if you feel that you keep stepping from one pile of shit to the next. It's really not the case. Perhaps right now or for a while now, you have felt that your life isn't how you want it to be. Maybe you feel lonely and long for that right relationship. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe you want to get healthy and feel better about your body, but don't know how to start, let alone how to find long-standing success. Maybe you haven't found your stride professionally and long for a fulfilling career instead of working an hourly wage job with no upward mobility. Maybe you want to radically change your life in some way, but you just don't know how. Whatever your challenge is, you can look back in your life and see where you made good choices that led to good things, regardless of how you perceive your life conditions now. And maybe those choices that led to good things were big. Maybe you made monumental decisions back then that you didn't realize were monumental. Maybe some of these great choices were smaller that led to bigger things. Look, life will always test you and challenge you. It will challenge your resilience, your fidelity to yourself, your values, your beliefs, your story. It will challenge your current set of standards, ideals, feelings. Life will always give you what you need, though, as challenging as it is. And I'll tell you this, those of us that have these really challenging lives, it is because we are called to step up more greatly to ourselves in service of the greater good. Life will always give you what you need. It's your job to find out a way to use those things, even if they are things that bring you to your knees and try to make you believe that you cannot get back up this time. Yeah, life is all about that shit. But there's also the opposite of that. How many times have you taken life by the reins and made shifts, changed direction, and created a path for yourself that you never imagined possible? How many times have you done that without even thinking? You just did it. And maybe sometimes you had to strategize to do that. But you did it. You were shocked that you pivoted that way, right? And experienced the results that you did. There was relief in it, right? Because somehow you said, I'm taking charge of this. I'm not just feeling this low-grade crap anymore. I'm changing my life, and I got to do it now without thinking. Maybe you made a decision not to make a decision. And yes, that is really a decision, sweetheart, to decide not to decide. And boy, does that impact your life. That is what holds you up from moving forward, moving on and moving towards the life you want to have, attempting to be neutral, sitting on the fence. We avoid dealing with shit all of the time because we think we need more time to prepare, to process, or to plan. Maybe you do. Maybe that clock, but that clock, honey, it is always ticking when it comes to the decisions you make. There's always an expiration date when it comes to taking action in your life. Can you hear it? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Nothing you do in your life is purposeless. It's just when life gets hard or unbearable, that's when we tend to do a life review. We tend to look at stuff. We tend to say, how did I get here? How did I get here? Why am I going through this? We are being pushed to look at our lives to see what needs to shift and change. We are not forced into corners because is just how it's supposed to be, and we're just supposed to stay there. We are forced and pushed into corners so that we will find that internal leverage to claw our way out, to get out and be able to move into more space. That's what life is all about. We are pushed to look at our lives, to change what needs to be changed. If we're living this kind of homogenous life, we wouldn't see all of this diversity in others and in the world. Imagine that if everything was just vanilla, right? Beige. Ugh. That's boring, y'all. None of us are the same person. None of us is like anybody else. Each of us is unique, and I promise you, no two people think the same about everything. It's impossible to be like somebody else. That said, somebody else's life might look great, like the life you think you want, but their tests and trials are their own, just like yours have been, just like mine have been, just how they always will be. No one person, regardless of how similar their experiences are to somebody else, has it the exact same way. There's a story, a little fable about, well, it's kind of not a fable, but it's a little story. Anyway, these two people go into this convenience store at the same time. They have the same experience. Somebody comes up into the convenience store with a gun and holds the cashier up, threatening everybody's lives in that convenience store until he gets the money. Both of these people have experienced the same thing. The robber gets the money and leaves, and both of these people walk out. One person is completely traumatized and destroyed, cannot recover. And the other is able to look at life and go, you know what? Wow, that was scary, but I am still alive. I'm grateful. I can walk out of here alive. So no one person, regardless of how similar their experiences are to somebody else, has it the exact same way. When you finally understand this, then any jealousy or envy fades away, and you will find yourself simply returning focus to the place that is the only necessary place to put it on: yourself. Time and time again, you've decided to stop looking at other people's lives and made decisions that were right for you. Whether it was choosing not to have the dessert after dinner, deciding to leave a job or relationship that wasn't serving you even though you knew that you would be putting yourself in temporary pain and discomfort, real pain and real discomfort, or making some radical change in your life that you knew was waiting for you to make, that you had been putting off for quite a while. Whatever your situation is now and how your life has been in the past, you came to a crossroads that forced you to make a decision in your life that either kept you from moving forward in your enlightened self-interest, as my daddy would say, or propelled you into the ethers of growth and evolution, changing your life in ways that you could never possibly imagine. So here you are, anchored in your human body, in this earth school, experiencing what you're experiencing right now. All because you made choices in your life that you overall believed to be the best choices at the time. And many of them were. Many of them are. You showed up to yourself, and look what life gave you in return. Progress and profit. Life gave you a new you. And when you have you, when you truly have yourself, when you have the back, your own back, when you truly find belonging to yourself in your life, first, everything works out in your favor. One of the biggest reasons why things are able to come together for you now is because you spent years showing up for yourself. Do you remember when I said you have done a lot of things right? Well, you've showed up for yourself time and time and time again. You didn't know where you were headed. You didn't know how or when things would materialize. A big part of you even doubted that they even could, and yet you showed up every single time. Even if you didn't know what the heck you were doing, and even though you're like, you know what, I'm gonna make the best decision I can make right now. Or maybe when you said, you know what, I do just enough to get by. Okay, that was what was working for you at the time. But you showed up. You did something. And showing up to yourself sometimes means putting yourself in situations that you really don't want to be put in. Maybe you didn't know yourself well enough to make hard decisions. Maybe you were too scared of change. Maybe you knew better but didn't do better. Maybe you stayed longer in a relationship because you didn't want to be alone. Weren't financially stable enough to get out. Didn't want to break up your family and put your children or yourself through a divorce. Whatever the reason for the delay or the action you took on your own behalf, you showed up. How you judge yourself for having made those decisions, now that's an entirely different story. That is the work you need to do to come clean with yourself. If you judge yourself harshly, negatively, being too hard on yourself when all you were trying to do is do your best with the skill sets, thoughts, beliefs, hopes, and dreams you had at the time. Yet you made some really tough decisions, even though you know and you knew you would lose people, positions, relationships, and experiences. You knew that there's a cost to the choices you had to make. You would have to forfeit something. We all have to give up something for something else. It's just how life is. But sitting where you're sitting, looking at your life right now, the things you gave up in search of this or something better were things that needed to fall away. Those things that you let go weren't serving you anymore. Maybe you let go of the need to be hypervigilant and self-protective. Maybe you let love in this time. Maybe you took risks that you wouldn't have taken 5 years ago or even yesterday. Maybe you decided to make decisions from a place of strength. Maybe you decided to start deciding. You showed up to yourself, and that makes all the difference. You chose you. Maybe for the first time in your life, you did that. You chose you over everything else, over other people's expectations of you, society's expectations, your expectations of yourself, large and small. You can see all of the times in your life where you put yourself first, or maybe today is the day that you started. Even if it was uncomfortable, difficult, or painful, you did it. You chose yourself so that you could experience what life was like when you had real self-respect, real comfort in your beliefs, real conviction about how you wanted your life to be. You chose you first. You loved yourself so much that you looked doubt in the face, walked by it, and embraced faith instead in yourself. There's something magical when we align with faith. Faith in God, faith in others, faith in ourselves. When we believe in those things, there is no decision that we make that won't leave us feeling well with ourselves. You can see the times when you were well with your soul, where you were in perfect alignment with your truth. What a beautiful feeling, isn't it? To be well with your soul. That is not something you can bottle up and sell. It is something that you and only you can know and experience in the way that you do. There's a song called Well With Your Soul, and it's by Mary Mary. I encourage you to listen to it. When you are well with yourself, it's like a soft, warm blanket, like a home-cooked meal filled with love, like a warm fire on a cold, rainy day. Choosing you is everything. It is the only thing that you can come back to for the rest of your life to make your life right. Every single time. Thank yourself for choosing you. Not just when things were good, but when they were most arduous, when they were most stagnant. As messy as it got at times, you kept it together. Now the universe is craving to toss every single blessing your way because you are choosing you. Hold this message in your heart and mind as you come to the end of this very, very difficult year. You are on the right path, even if you aren't sure of it, even if you doubt it, even if you have no clue what that even means, even if you don't believe it. Choose you. Choose you first. And when you do that, everything in your life benefits. Your relationships benefit. Your growth is expanded. And you will receive blessings from the universe that have only lived in your dreams. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, put you first and live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.